This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed. Let's talk about what else was making news this week. South Korea. That was a big. If I was walking around with a giant question mark over my head if I was a cartoon.
Yes.
Going, what?
What is that about?
And I was pleased to discover that I wasn't alone. It is a confusing story.
Yeah, it sure is. And it took a little bit to get to the end. I read what we did in Squiz today and went, doesn't really explain to me, why. Why is this sort of all blown up?
Why has it happened? But there isn't an answer to that.
And there isn't an answer. That's what the team is like. But it's actually, no one really has the answer. So, Look, if you were at the United Nations or if you're at the White House, you were on the same page as we were because it was all very confusing. What happened is on Tuesday night, the South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law across the whole country. His opponents in the nation's parliament, which is the National Assembly there, they immediately sought to get in. They were
to the building.
Into the building, yeah, and they were blocked, which did actually create this very big confrontation with the military outside their parliament.
Yeah, so, the footage was quite something. Just to pause on what martial law is, it's when the military's put in charge of a country, usually used in a major emergency like a natural disaster, a riot or an invasion. But none of that was happening in South Korea.
None of that was happening this time, hence all the questions about what the heck. So just to stay on what happened just for a second, when announced, the military literally swept the parliament and those 300 members who want to get in, only 190 actually made it. And that was actually enough for them to vote. So they were able to vote on this motion and they voted it down. That happened at about 1 a.m. their time. And that included people voting against it, members of Yoon's own party.
Yeah, so they managed to, so they were only under martial law for 6 hours or something in total. Yeah. The parliament managed to fix it all. What Yoon then had to do is concede his attempt to put the military in charge of the country had failed. That ended the crisis, but it's sort of not the end of the matter because there are so many questions about why he did what he did. In trying to find an answer, we'll give you what we think we can determine, which is that it's kind of got to do with politics.
Yeah, just run-of-the-mill politics. So Yoon justified it all by saying that his political opponents, he accused them of anti-state activities, plotting rebellion. He also claimed that he was protecting the constitution of the country from pro-North Korean forces. But to put the broader political context over it, there's been these domestic political battles between the South Korean leader and the opposition, which is actually the party that controls the National Assembly. So things that have happened in recent months include the impeachment of key members of Yoon's government, also a blocked budget.
So it's just, he just says, we can't get, the job of the government can't be done here. So, martial law.
Over to you, military.
Yeah. You kind of laugh. But
over to you, military, in a way that he controls the military. The leading party there has lots of influence over the military.
And the historical context is South Korea has only been a democracy since the 80s. So people going, hold on a minute, pause for what's actually going on here and what is this about? Yeah. Impeachment is actually on the cards now for Yoon, particularly if South Koreans turn out in huge numbers over the weekend to demand an end to his time in office. That's something that's been predicted.
Yeah, so keep that on your news radar this weekend. And just to look at Yoon, he's not a popular bloke even going into this. So the polls there put him at about 25% approval with the Korean public. And that's because since he won by a very narrow majority the presidency back in 2022, there's been a range of these sort of corruption scandals that he's personally involved in as well.
I didn't think we'd be talking about South Korea this week. So there you go. Isn't the job that we do can throw up some real,
absolutely,
real curveballs.